Hello and welcome back to step 1. Today we'll be talking about the different components of human blood. So the average adult human has about 5 liters worth of blood flowing through their blood vessels. Now that blood is mostly made up of fluid with different things dissolved in it, as well as all kinds of different blood cells. The average adult human has 20 to 30 trillion blood cells in their systems. Now that number is so huge it's hard to really imagine. So if we zoom in, look at this image here of blood under a microscope, zoomed in about 500 times, you can see the different types of blood cells. But even so, that's a little hard to imagine, so we're going to demonstrate what this is like. So of the, one drop of blood that has, as I was saying, 5 million blood cells in it, if we zoom in really close, we see that about half of that blood is made up of water with different things dissolved in it. So the main thing dissolved in water are different types of proteins. So the main one is albumin, which helps basically keep the water in the blood cells, but there are also other kinds of proteins that are important building blocks, messengers, whatever. The next most common ingredient is salt. So it's mostly sodium chloride, table salt, but there are also a few other types of salt, potassium, calcium, all kinds of other important ones for your body's functioning. The next component is glucose, sugar. There's a little bit of that, and there's about an equal amount of fats. I didn't grab oil, but you can understand that. So that's the main component of what plasma looks like. Water with a bunch of stuff dissolved in it, and it does have a slightly yellow color, although usually more clear yellow color from those different proteins and the albumin especially. There are various other things dissolved in the blood as well. Hormones, enzymes, antibodies, all kinds of other different chemicals in tiny, tiny little amounts, but these are the big ones. So there, about half of the blood is the plasma, and next we have the different type of blood cell. The most common type of blood cell are the red blood cells. We'll represent them with these here lentils. Now the main function of red blood cells is to carry oxygen. One single red blood cell contains something like 250 million hemoglobin molecules. And what that hemoglobin does is it binds to oxygen. So as blood passes through your lungs, oxygen sticks to all of those hemoglobin molecules, and as the blood circulates through your body, gets to the tiny little blood vessels called capillaries, the oxygen is released and basically feeds your body. And it just continues on and on through that cycle. The red blood cells live for about 120 days in your system. Now those are the most common blood cells. The next category of blood cells are the white blood cells. These are a little bit larger than red blood cells, and there are about 1,000th fewer of them in your system. So we'll just put a few of those in there. White blood cells are mostly involved in fighting infections. They will attack bacteria and other infections. They will produce antibodies that help you to fight off infections. They're also involved in fighting off parasites and in allergic reactions. The last type of blood cell are called platelets. Now these are about a quarter the size of the red blood cells, and there are also fewer of those. Platelets are mainly involved in helping stop bleeding. So they basically plug up holes when there's a cut to stop the bleeding. Both white blood cells and platelets live a shorter period of time in the body, usually in the 1 to 2 week window. So we've mixed all these together, and that kind of gives you an idea of what your blood looks like. Fluid with a whole bunch of different cells. Again, you can look at these microscope images up close. Come back in a few days, and our next episode will be talking about anemia, which is low blood counts and why that's important. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.